Hello, everyone. How's it going? I apologize for the late start today. Oops. Sorry about that. Yeah, I apologize for the late start. I was going to stream this originally on my new iPhone, and only to find out that I don't meet the eligibility requirements for the new iPhone to be able to stream. So, we're doing this the old-fashioned way. I got my son here with me, smiling away. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Well, he was smiling. So, today's goal is to mount my new circuit breakers on my control panel here, or power panel. I don't know what you would call it. I got two circuit breakers for the two blocks on my layout, and so they're going to go into here, and that is the goal. That is the plan. Pop my Mountain Dew. Okay. I'm going to mount them one here and one here. If you can see, let me tilt this up. I got all these wires that kind of come when this thing folds up. Those wires are on sort of this side. So I'm going to mount my hardware right here and here. And that should work out pretty good. Pretty good. Let me grab a pencil real quick so I can measure and mark things. Yeah. I got everything laid out that I needed, and of course I forgot a pencil. All right. Just to keep things kind of fancy, we'll try to center this below here. I'm going to go ahead and mount them first. Goodness, buddy. Goodness, sneeze. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mount these first before I get too far down the road of wiring, just because I think it'll be easier. I bought spacers, but I didn't buy enough. I bought enough for one, but not two, because originally I was going to use one. Originally I was going to use the what's it called? The Digitrax circuit breaker system, but it turns out that really only works for Digitrax. You need a ground coming from your power pack to your circuit breaker, and the issue cab control system doesn't have a ground that does that. So yeah, so I didn't end up doing that. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Fred. Yep, I got a little helper. Got a little 4-month-old model railroader down here working on the layout with me. He comes down here every weekend to help and gives Mom a little bit of a break in the mornings. He's going to have his own YouTube channel before it's over with. Yeah, I like the folding up thing. It hides everything, and airflow kind of still remains nice. And, I don't have to worry about, it looks clean too, you know. I don't have to worry about it getting messy or anything like that. Let's see, will this hold it? It will. So I'll show you what I got here. Circuit breaker, and then we got wood screws, flathead top, and then these plastic spacers. I've got long ones and I've got a set of short ones because I didn't buy the same size for both breakers. So I'm just going to mount the one on this one and the short ones on the next one. And whichever one I like best, I'll buy a second bag of those and remount the first one. I like to think I'm an okay dad. Kids are going to think I'm either the coolest dad in the world because I got trains, or the biggest dork in the world because I got trains. We'll see. Ah, shoot. I thought I could just drive it in easy, but it's going to be work. It's going to make me work for it. Oh, man. Thought I could do it easy. It's going to make me work. So as far as an internal breaker versus a separate one, my understanding is that those internal breakers are good to protect the power pack itself from short circuits. Like this has an internal breaker in it. But your locomotives are a little on the sensitive side, right? They've got those DCC boards in them, and they're, they don't require a lot of power. They're pretty sensitive. So the worry is that if you short your track because one of your locomotives jumps a rail at a turnout, or you have something laying across the track, there's any sort of number of things, even to something happening within here, that this starts screwing up and sending power weirdly to your tracks. The danger is that you can burn up your equipment pretty fast. And so what they recommend are circuit breakers to go between your power pack or your booster and your track work itself. There's a model railroader who has a YouTube video called I think it's why you always use circuit breakers or something like that. And he showed how he was just running trains, and he walked out of the room and didn't think about it, and came back to find that his locomotive kind of melted onto the tracks because he didn't have circuit breaker. The booster, I should not be using a power tool for this. The booster thought everything was fine, but it wasn't. It was melting the locomotive to the track. Here, I'm just going to by hand because it's safer. These are a little expensive. So there's different ways to do circuit breakers. You can do what I'm doing here, which is what I obviously would recommend, although I've never used it before, but what everyone else is saying, they're pretty awesome. Which these are You can buy them at Tony's Training Exchange. These are dccspecialties.coms. Here's the logo. PSX-1, and they come in a number of varieties, but essentially it's the same thing. Just either get one to a pack or two or four. And they are just plug and play. The reason why I got these is because I originally had a Digitrax version, which would have been a little bit cheaper, I believe, overall, but it didn't work with my system, which I didn't find out about until after I purchased it and started reading through the instructions. Yeah, if you are running into shorting out issues, I definitely would say go ahead and pick one up. You only need about, from what I understand, you only need about one per about 4 or 5 locomotives. Now I don't run a lot of locomotives on this layout, but I have 2 power districts. You can see. Let's see here. So red and black here, this is one power district. Red and black here, this is the second power district. This is the Union Pacific main line and all the staging. So kind of the outside track and the staging goes along with that. And this is the inside track, which is the main like locomotive. This will only ever have like maybe 2 locomotives or maybe 3 on at any given time. Whereas this might have 4 or 6 locomotives on there, depending. But you break them into districts so that you lessen the load on your breakers. But also, if something happens on one district, like you have a short, or you have your track is shorting out somewhere, it's only affecting that one district. So if I'm running trains on the inside and somebody else is running trains on the outside and they're having problems, I can continue to run trains while they're trying to solve what's going on there. So you don't have problems with that. That's the idea of separate power districts anyway. Another way of handling circuit breakers, if you check out a video by Ron's Trains and Things, he's a pretty popular YouTuber. He shows how he does his circuit breakers. He does his a little different. He doesn't use one of these big fancy breakers. He uses, I think it's an automotive light between his booster and the track. And the idea being that like that will short out first before any issues reach the trains. So if your train causes a short circuit and it sends it back this direction, it shorts out the light, and then therefore the circuit is tripped and you're good to go. And it's cheap. I don't think it's an automotive light. I think it's actually an appliance light, like for like microwave or something. I can't remember. It's some sort of cheap little light bulb. For like, $2 light, as opposed to like this was, I think, $35. But every time you short it out, you got to replace the light bulb, right? And it's not, it's not super great protection from what I understand. It only works if it blows the light bulb. And it may not necessarily blow the light bulb depending on what's causing the short. Okay. That's mounted on there pretty good. It's a little loose right now, but I don't want to drive it too far home if I'm not going to keep that spacing. We'll see. Oh, more questions. Let me see here. Yeah, thick bus wire. So this is 12 gauge bus wire. You don't need to go that thick. You can go probably about, if you're on HO scale, you can go probably about 14 gauge. You do okay. I went 12 because I'm running it a pretty decent distance from here. I think the farthest point from here is about 35, 40 feet. So I went with the thicker gauge just so I could be sure to actually be able to make the run. Okay, we'll stick it there. Actually, let me stick it a little lower. Because what I'm going to do, no, I'm going to stick it right there. Um, 14 gauge is good. So it's thick enough for most applications. How do I connect feeders? Good question. Suitcase connectors. I used those on my last layout. I was not the biggest fan. Let me show you what I got right here. So these are T-style connectors, very similar to suitcase connectors in a lot of way. The only difference is this part, this yellow part here, clamps to your bus line like a suitcase connector will, but this red part is a whole separate thing. So the red part clamps to the wire, and then the yellow part clamps to the bus line, and then you connect those two together. One mates into the other. And what's really cool is I can use thick bus line and thin wire and use two different sizes of these connectors so that I get the best connection between the wire and the connector. So this red is a smaller size for a smaller wire. This yellow is a larger size for a larger wire, but they both come together at the same point. And so in doing so, I get a really good connection. The other great thing is this is a connection that I can separate. So if I'm replacing a switch, I can pull this off of here easily and replace the switch, put a new one on, and plug it right back in the same spot. I don't have to worry about running a new thing. I'm also using them in areas where I'm going to be building switch panels. But right now I've got them temporarily wired up one way, and when I go to build a switch panel, I can just unplug those temporary wires and plug in the new wires, and not have to worry about another trying to make another connection with another suitcase connector that could potentially pinch and break the original the bus line itself. So I know people are sometimes kind of down on suitcase connectors and those style of connectors because it's not as good as, say, soldering wire directly together. But my soldering skills suck. And I trust those connectors about as much as I trust my soldering skills. So my thought is, and also like soldering is such a pain in the butt, especially when you have to, what am I doing? Soldering is such a pain in the butt, especially trying to do it like from underneath the layout, that I would rather take the risk of having to fix a suitcase connector, like a T-style connector or a suitcase connector that went bad occasionally, than like having to do a whole layout soldering directly under the layout. if that makes sense. So I read up on those connectors, those T-style connectors that I'm using, and it seems like people like them better than suitcase connectors. If anything, for the convenience factor and the fact that you can get like a more solid connection between two more greatly varied sized wires when you do it that way. You know, you're always making compromises if you go too thin on the wire that you're running to your track work versus your bus wire. The connection just might not be as tight or as nice as you would have liked with a suitcase style connector, or it might be too tight and sever your bus line, which you don't want to do. So I think it's probably a pretty good alternative. Yeah, soldering the layout's not fun. If your solder drips, you're dripping on yourself potentially, or you're dripping on your carpet, and then you gotta like crane your back and your neck to get up underneath there to solder to begin with, and I'm just not down with that. I think I'm going to end up getting the larger spacers and rehang this little one just because I think I like the larger spacers. Maybe I don't. It sets it up pretty darn high. Maybe I like the smaller ones better. Yeah. That's an easy fix. Yeah, the suitcases that don't work issue is an issue for sure. I haven't experienced that with these guys yet. And I think just maybe because the connection's a little more solid. Although I will say I haven't really had much of an issue with suitcase connectors not working either. Or maybe I just haven't noticed it. And maybe I got better suitcase connectors. Who knows? It's hard to tell sometimes. What the issue is. I'm not going to screw these in all the way. It's just not necessary. Small power screwdriver. I know it's on my list of things. It is on the list for sure. a lot of things I need. I need a airbrush and compressor. Looking at a really nice one. Well, this isn't. What's going on here? See, I'm getting caught up. I don't want to put too much stress on the board because I don't want it, like, breaking or anything weird like that. I think I got to re-drill this hole. Might be better. Oh, what can I talk about? Electronics. I don't know much about them. This whole DCC itself is a mystery to me, let alone like circuit breakers and special wire reverse loops and all that other stuff. So what I need to buy, but then sometimes you buy it and you go to hook it up and you're like, ooh, these instructions are a foreign language to me. That's where the internet comes in handy. Those guys know way more than I do. Okay. Okay, don't look too closely at it because it's a little, but do on now. Hey, Taylor, how's it going? Sounds good. I'm glad you're working on it. So, reading my instructions, we are going to go into here from here, and then there, and then we're going to wire up a test. All right, so. Like the instructions are the same, or there's like simple instructions and there's like all this advanced stuff with like CVs for programming and I don't know what I'm doing there. Luckily, the internet seems to know better than I do. Okay, so to temporarily wire the layout, I used 22 gauge coming from my power booster going to the track, which is like probably way too small. So I'm going to go up in size. And I think I can go, I think I could get away with 14 gauge. Going into here. And that would make sense because this is 14 and then this is 12. My other option is to go with this, which is 18 gauge. Oops, I'm sorry, can't see. 18 gauge. I'm going to do that. So here is a money-saving tip. Oh, dead frogs. Let me tell you, dude. I experienced dead frogs issues with my old layout. So the solution for that, there's a couple things you could do. If you want to manually throw your turnouts from like the side of the bench work, like from like a little switch on the side of the bench work. You can go with like a Blue Point turnout machine or a Bullfrog turnout machine. These are manual turnouts machines that go like underneath your bench work. They connect to where your switch is at the bottom, a little box, and they run like a little cable to the edge of your bench work. And you pull a little lever, and it manually switches from underneath the layout, your turnout, which is nice. But what they also do is they have the ability to reroute power to your frog from the little manual machine itself. So there's no like real electronics involved. It's all mechanical rerouting of power, but that will help. I will say that still didn't seem to work 100% of the time for me. I used Bullfrog machines, and they didn't seem to work the way I wanted them to, which was frustrating. The other option would be to use what I'm going to use, which is the frog juicers, which are little boards like this that can detect. You hook one up to each one of your turnouts, and they can detect as soon as your locomotive rolls over the frog, whether or not the polarity is right or not, and it switches the polarity right away. And when it does that, it does it so quickly that even your locomotive doesn't know anything happened. They can be a little expensive if you get too many of them. So my plan is to buy a few and only use them in the areas where I need them. So far, I have not had issues rolling over my frogs, but that may change. So here is space or money saving tip. I went to the hardware store and I got this. This is Simpol T-Stat thermostat wire. There are 5 strands in here, and each strand is 18 gauge wire a piece. And so what you have is one wire, but within this wire are 5 individual strands. So what you can do is cut that wire and then remove the outer shielding, which hopefully I can do without causing any damage. Why isn't it letting me get in there? Hold on. Come on, you outer shielding. Yeah, I started with DC as well back in the day. And DCC was just starting to come around by the time I left the hobby, went off to college and all that. So by the time I got back in, I had a career and a wife and a kid, and finally had a little bit of extra spending money that I could spend on a hobby. And DCC was in full swing with sound locomotives. They didn't have sound locomotives when I quit the first time, and it was just like, wow. So DCC got me back in for sure. It was so cool. And it was kind of easier to wire layout for DCC. Like, you weren't just relegated to either like power blocks, where you're running like, here, this shielding's coming off now. relegated to power districts where you can only run one locomotive at a time, or yeah. Well, that stuff went away. Okay. This is supposedly 18 gauge, but it looks way thinner than that. This is 22. This looks thicker. Oh, man. What did I do? What did I do? What did I buy? It's definitely not 18 gauge. Oh, you know what? It is. It just looks, it's got far less shielding. Okay, let me show you. So can you see? Focus. Okay, the blue wire is 18. The black wire is 22. Black wire actually has thicker shielding on it. So it looks thicker, but it's really not. So this is 18. Okay. Whew. It's crazy. Okay. So we're going to go 18 and 18. Okay. Oh, you know what? Shoot. Oh, man. I didn't pay attention. Shoot, I didn't pay attention when I pulled that out. Which was which? Yeah, I gotta go get my manual. Yep, you're right. The shielding was thinner because it was in the bundle. So that's why that was happening. Okay. I totally did not pay attention when I was pulling it out, which side was positive, which side was negative, and it's not giving me really good indication. So we get the instruction manual. Which is still not giving me good indication. Okay. Check, make sure, blah, blah. I guess it doesn't. It probably doesn't matter which way you go. Oh shoot! Do I have a picture of this float type before I mess with it? Oh, you know what? I could probably look earlier in this very video. Let's do that. What's going on here? Come on. Come on, phone. Okay. Ooh. The Digitrax circuit breaker system, but it turns out that really only works on Digitrax. You need a ground. Okay, so red's on the outside. Okay. There's always something. Yep. I'm always doing something wrong. I guess if anything, what you learn is you ain't the only one screwing up. So how are you liking your MRC system? That was originally the system I was kind of looking at getting for myself. I ended up going with the NCE Power Cab system just because it was cheaper. But I really liked, what did I do? I really liked the large wheel on the MRC system. I like that better than the little thumb wheel that the NCE system gives you. And I like both of those better than the tiny knobs that Digitrax gives you. Not really a fan of those. Okay. All right, so black, red. What we're going to do is that and that. $100 on eBay, under $100 on eBay with the Wi-Fi. That is a steal. Man, if you can do that, go for it. If anything, it get you going, you know. Get you going, get your railroad going until you get something you really want. If you'd rather have something else. But yeah, $100 on eBay, man. I think I paid probably, was it $250 for this thing? It was not cheap. All right. I'm going to test one of these before I go too much further. Just to make sure it's working before I hook the other one up. Yeah, man. Under $100 for a full DCC system is pretty great. Okay. Test the PSX full functionality. Turn on DCC power. Verify the D7, D12, and D6 LED. D7, D12 LED is on and D6 is off. Connect wire from J1 to J2, which is these two. And remove the wire. Okay. That's easy enough to test that. Let's go ahead and make a little jumper wire to test circuit breaking functionality. Yep. All right, so I have to run this power cord over here. I don't have, you see this plug back there? That plug is going to get hooked up one day, and that's going to be how I power everything. But until then, I got to run an extension cord. How's your Wi-Fi working for you on your system? Mine is not working great. Okay. So booster's on. I'm going to turn on my throttle. This takes a little bit to go. I have Wi-Fi connectivity issues. I can show you right here what's going on once this thing loads up. So this is the ECU ECU cab control system. I like the interface. I like the touch screen. I like the big wheel. It's very cool, but battery life's not great on this. That's one thing. The thing is Wi-Fi connectivity is really awful as well. So I do plan on getting a proto throttle, which is a whole separate thing that I can run off this same system. But okay, so we're going to turn on power to the track. Cool. Those two are red, and the J6 is off. No, I'm sorry, D6 is off. D6 LED, which is this one right here, is off. So I'm going to short out the, can you see the red lights? So I'm going to short out the system, and when I do, D12 will turn on, which is this one. D7 will turn off, which is that one. And D6 will turn on, which is that one. Okay. So let's go ahead and do it. Oh boy. Here we go. It sparked a little bit. And it turned back on again. That spark was a little scary. But it did it. It did what it was supposed to. Let's do it one more time. Yep. That turns on, that turns off, and that turns back on. So we're back to normal again. So it'll turn it off until it feels like you're safe, and then it turns back on automatically. So that is working as intended. Awesome. That is very cool. Cool, man. Awesome. Go ahead and turn off power to the track. That turns that off. Awesome. I'm going to leave my booster on, so I have to power everything back up again. But I'm going to go ahead and connect this. Man, that's cool that worked like that. Very cool. I'm going to need a longer length of wire. Yep, I'm gonna need longer length of wire. One breaker is working properly, yay! The thrill of victory indeed. That is awesome. Not everything that I do ends up working right the first time. And the last thing I wanted to do is melt my DCC system. Ow, I just stabbed myself really good. There you go, see? You can't go perfect. Man, I'm gonna stab myself 20 times if I'm not careful. There's gotta be a better way to remove shielding than this. And I was so nervous. I looked, when I bought it, I looked at it and I'm like, man, that doesn't look like 18 gauge wire, just from like, looking at the packaging and stuff. Looking at it through the packaging, I was like, I don't think there's 5 strands of 18 gauge wire in there. Are you sure? But it is. It's just really thinly insulated. Which, hey, if it works, right? Okay. Hey, Ben, it works. So this just goes from here to here. Sorry I don't have more stuff in camera view for you guys. I apologize for that. It's a little unwieldy working on this thing. I guess I could pull the camera back a little bit. It didn't need to be so close. That's the thing with these live streams is sometimes they're not going to be super exciting. But I did want to get the circuit breakers on here before I got too much further, just because I'm starting to run trains a lot more now. And I don't want I don't want to, these are really expensive locomotives. And I don't want to potentially screw something up as I'm continuing to work on the track work and wiring and everything else that goes with model railroading, and not, do something wrong and then potentially melt my locomotives. So now I've got super cool protection. Okay, so if I did everything right, let's go ahead and plug this back in. And we'll turn power on. Boom, both breakers are lit up. Yeah, I've got wire strippers. Okay, where is my little jumper wire? Where'd that go? Oh, there it is. So let's test the second one. I'm a little nervous. It did not do anything. Did I put it in right? There it goes. I don't think I put it in the right hole the first time. Yep, it's doing it. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay, so now all I gotta do is wire these guys to the track. So I've got these, let's bring the camera around a little bit for you. So right now I got red and black. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to, this is going to be for one district and this is going to be for the other district. So I'm going to just take all these wires and reconnect things, move things around so that I got track running to the right districts. And we'll go from there. Let's see. I'm trying to remember how I had this wired now that I'm looking at it. What is this? Oh, this is for the swing gate, right? No. What is this one going to? You'd think I would have remembered what I did with this. Okay, so obviously this is for Power District 1, this is for Power District 2, and this is for I don't remember which one that one's for. Okay, hold on, I can tell. I can do like this. I can do like this, okay. Okay, so that's inside district. Okay, so these guys are for Midland Falls Main Line here, and that is for that one. Okay, cool. I got it now. I got it. I got it figured, Ben. Come on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do, we're going to do Midland Falls on this side of the layout. So actually these two needed to stay right where they were. This guy goes over there. This is Midland Falls here, and this is Midland Falls here. And this is Union Pacific and Union Pacific. Hey, baby, you want a child?
No, I'm just gonna change his diaper.
give you a kid for free.
You don't want him?
He's fine. You're live on YouTube right now, by the way.
Where's the camera?
It's pointing towards the wall. They can't see it.
Oh, okay.
I thought I had everything out here that I was going to use, but it turns out I didn't.
You never seen it.
Hey, thanks for stopping by there. Power off. I'm not actually connected to the layout right now. There's nothing running to the layout. So when there is, I will make adjustments. Okay. So I got these two jumpers here. I'm just going to do it the lazy man way. That is ready to go. That is ready to go. Okay, so what I need to do is make a couple of wires that run up to here with spade connectors to connect to these guys. What time is it now? All right, we'll do a little more work. Let me pull the camera back further. There you can see me with my amazing coronavirus haircut. Oh, my battery's about to die.
Are you still on?
I'm still on, but my battery's gone.
You hear that, puppy? You're live on YouTube.
I'm going to have to call it a day because my battery's going to die. All right, folks, I'll tell you what I was planning on doing. I and I'm going to continue doing it, just not on YouTube. And if you see trains running on my Instagram account, it's because I did it right. So I'm just going to connect these guys to here with some spade connectors. And essentially, that's it. But to do that, I got to strip more wire free, and I got to run everything. I'm going to take a picture of it when it's done and stick it up on Instagram so you can see what the final look is. And then I'll post some trains running later this weekend at some point. But my battery is about dead, so I got to call it here because I believe if power dies and I lose my video, it doesn't save it. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Everyone stopped by today. I just picked up a couple more people just as I'm about ready to call today. Hello, Closet Branch. I'm calling it a day because my battery's about ready to die. But today I was putting some circuit breakers, some PSX1s on my layout to protect my locomotives. So got them hooked up. They're working properly. I just got to hook them now from the breakers to the layout. I'm going to do it off camera because my battery's about to die. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. I appreciate it. I'll be back on next week. I think we're going to be hooking up tortoise switch machines next week. It should be about as fun as this, honestly. But alrighty, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I will see everyone later.